I am live. Hello, today is Thursday. It is the 23rd of November, Thanksgiving. And I am reading out of Return to Elysium, which is a life of Joan Grant. She is Lucina. This place in the 2nd century BC. She grew up in Greece and she is here in Rome. And this is the second part of chapter 11, entitled Roman Daughter. For several days I tried to make myself believe that Flavia had been unjust to Julia. The child hated her mother. That was obvious enough, and surely she was exaggerating. Julia seemed so genuinely concerned for my welfare, so anxious that I should enjoy myself as her guest. She personally selected the fruit that was left beside my bed, chose the flowers for my rooms, gave me several small gifts. She thanked me almost effusively for being so kind to Flavia. It's so good for the child to have someone near her own age to play with. She did it remarkably well. I might have been deceived if I had not realized the remark was intended to be overheard by Flavia, who was supposed to think, "So Lucina is mother's confidant. I mustn't trust her anymore." And by Nigellus as a sharp reminder that I was more closely his daughter's contemporary than his own. She tried to find out more about me. I put her off by describing a house near Athens where I had lived with my brother since our parents died. It was only when I guessed she meant to make careful inquiries about me that I realized how greatly she could jeopardize my position and how powerless I should be to stop her. When I first came to the villa, I thought, if I thought intelligently about it at all, that I should either grow out of my need for Nigellus or else contrive to meet him in some suitable romantic setting. I might even have insisted that Salonius gave me his cottage, where I could go when I felt inclined. But Julia always knew what Nigellus was doing. Now she was sufficiently suspicious to have him watched even more closely. What would happen to me when Julia spread the story that her husband was having an affair with a priestess who worked with Salonius? Salonius knew Rome. He had told me that a senator could not afford to be associated with soothsayers. He did not need to tell me that no priestess in Rome could afford to have her virginity in doubt. What would Epicurus and Narcissus think if they discovered I had thrown away our career? Yes, our career, for if they had not helped me, we should still have been poor. I should have to go back to Athens with Euripides if he still wanted me. Had any woman ever been a greater failure as being a woman? 16 days in another woman's villa, a few kisses, a few delectable, dangerous embraces, and everything I had worked for was destroyed by Julia, whom I had been complacent enough to pity. I had run away from Elysium and made a new life for myself. Now I should have to run away again. I made my decision without consulting Euripides, and announced it that evening when we had assembled on the terrace. "It has been lovely here," I said to Julia. "I shall have such pleasant memories to take back with me to Athens." "You're going to Athens?" Nigellus betrayed his dismay. Euripides smoothly took the cue. "At the end of the month, I have a new play in rehearsal. We dramatists are the slaves of the theatre." "Athens," said Julia, and put her hand on my arm to lead me into the room where we ate our meals. "How wise of you to go before the autumn gales." Then in a lower voice, so only I could hear, she added, "I never thought the climate of that little island in the Tiber was really suitable for a girl brought up in Elysium. Was that the name? Was it not?" So she knew. Had she known all the time, or had her spies just earned a fresh reward? I pleaded a headache and went early to my room. How could it be early after such an interminable ordeal? Julia very much the possessive wife, complacent, secure. Nigellus eating nothing, drinking too much, making only disjointed efforts to keep alive the flickering conversation. Flavia glanced at her mother, knowing she was the cause of the tension, but not knowing why. Claudia discussing Greek drama with Euripides in a determined effort to avoid the silences. I left the door open into Euripides' room, for I wanted to talk to him to escape from being alone. The hours lengthened, and at last I felt I should scream if I stayed indoors. It's a battery. The marble steps linking the terrace were white under the moon. A young wind stirred the myrtle trees. Wine leaves pattered against the stone pillars of the pergola like the stealthy feet of fugitives. The smooth, clear-cut patch gave place to a rough track, steep among secret bushes, whose presence in the shadows was betrayed only by their whispered response to the night air. Below me I could hear waves breaking on the rocks, solitary and changeless. I threw off my clothes and ran into the sea. I swam far out until I grew tired and had to turn back, gaining the beach only with a final effort of aching muscles. My hair, heavy with seawater, clung to me, and I had nothing to dry it with. I tried to comfort myself. It would be easier this way in the end, easier never to see Nigellus again than to know he left me to return to Julia, who would welcome him with that assured smile, the kiss on the cheek, the casual talk of the small intimate matters of their daily lives, in which I played no part. Oh gosh, I hope it didn't stop. In which I played no part. He would never have been happy if we had become involved with the tawdry necessities of deceit. In time he might have returned to Julia to seek peace of mind, seeing in her formal living an escape from an illusory freedom too difficult to maintain. I did not hear Euripides until he stood beside me, his cloak like the curve of a sail against the uneasy sky. "Poor Lucina," he said, "so you must run away." I don't have enough battery. Sorry.